Imagine waking up this Friday morning, not to the usual routine of checking the weather or your social media, but to a global news alert flashing across every screen, an alert that fundamentally and permanently alters the financial landscape of the world. The headline is simple, yet it's one that a specific community has been anticipating for decades. Iraq announces new international exchange rate, dinar soars. For a moment, the world stops. You fumble for your phone, your heart pounding in a rhythm that feels both terrifying and exhilarating. You open your banking app, your hands slightly trembling, and you see it. The numbers are different. The value you've been holding, patiently, faithfully, through years of silence and speculation, has just transformed your reality. This is not a drill. This is not another rumor from a guru's forum. This is the morning the revaluation became real. That week, that very week you are living in right now, could be the one we look back on as the moment everything changed. This is not merely hopeful thinking. This is a conclusion drawn from connecting dots that have never been so clearly aligned. We are at the convergence of geopolitical necessity, economic ultimatums, and a series of tangible, verifiable actions taken by the Iraqi government itself, actions that have all culminated in this precise moment in early 2025. The silence from Baghdad is not a silence of inaction. It is the deliberate, profound quiet before the storm. For years, the narrative surrounding the dinar has been shrouded in a mist of promises and postponed deadlines, but what we are witnessing now is fundamentally different. We have moved from the realm of speculation into the domain of hard, procedural fact. Let's talk about what has actually happened, not what might happen. The final, most significant obstacle to the revaluation has always been Iraq's integration into the global financial system. For the dinar to hold a strong, stable international value, Iraq must be seen as a compliant and transparent partner by institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. For decades, the nation was held back by financial protocols that were opaque, to say the least. But that chapter is closed. The evidence is irrefutable. Just in the last quarter of 2024, Iraq successfully concluded its Article 4 consultations with the IMF with a unanimous vote of confidence, a technicality that sounds boring but is, in reality, the financial equivalent of passing the most rigorous final exam. They demonstrated, with audited figures, that their monetary policy is now robust, their foreign reserves are diversified and substantial, and their banking sector has been cleansed of the systemic vulnerabilities that plagued it for so long. This wasn't a quiet, behind-the-scenes meeting. It was a public declaration of financial maturity. Furthermore, look at the actions, not the words. The Central Bank of Iraq has been systematically and deliberately reducing the money supply of the lower-value notes, the notes that circulate within the country for daily transactions. This is a critical, technical step that most investors overlook. You don't contract your physical currency supply unless you are preparing to introduce a new valuation for the currency that remains. It is a logistical and economic imperative. They are tightening the spring, so to speak, so that when it is released, the energy is focused and powerful. This process of currency absorption has accelerated dramatically in the last 6 months. A clear signal that the preparatory phase is in its final, most active stage. Simultaneously, the government has successfully navigated the treacherous waters of international oil and gas agreements, finally securing long-term, stable revenue streams that are not denominated in dollars but are increasingly being pegged to a basket of currencies, with the dinar poised to be the primary beneficiary. This creates a self-sustaining cycle of demand for the currency. To pay for Iraqi energy, countries will need to hold dinar reserves, creating a foundational, institutional demand that will underpin its value from day one. This isn't a speculative pump. This is the construction of a new pillar of the global economy. All these pieces, the international compliance, the monetary contraction, the sovereign wealth foundation, they haven't just fallen into place randomly. They have been deliberately and meticulously positioned, like pieces on a chessboard, and the final move is now imminent. The countdown isn't just beginning, the clock is in its final, audible ticks. So, if the groundwork has been so meticulously laid, the question that burns in every investor's mind is a simple one. Why this week? What is so uniquely different about these specific 7 days that sets it apart from every other week that came before it? Weeks filled with their own whispers and hopes. The answer lies not in a single explosive event, but in the convergence of 3 critical timelines that have all, independently, reached their maturity point simultaneously, creating a perfect storm of financial inevitability. First, consider the political timeline. The Iraqi government, after a period of significant instability, has finally achieved a level of cohesion and political consensus that was previously thought impossible. The various factions have reached a fragile but functional agreement, primarily because the financial restructuring, which includes the revaluation, is the central pillar of the national budget that was just ratified. This budget is not like the budgets of years past. It is a forward-looking, ambitious document that allocates billions for national infrastructure, public works, and social programs, all of which are predicated on a new, much stronger currency value. The government has essentially passed a budget that it cannot possibly fund without the increased purchasing power and international creditworthiness that the RV will instantly provide. They have backed themselves into a corner, but it is a corner of their own deliberate design. To fail to activate the new rate now would be to trigger an immediate and catastrophic domestic crisis, a fact every member of parliament is acutely aware of. The political survival of the current administration is now directly tied to the successful launch of the new dinar, making this not just an economic priority, but an existential one. The second timeline is international, and it carries the weight of legal mandate. For years, Iraq operated under various temporary waivers and exemptions from international banking compliance standards, particularly those related to anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. These waivers were a necessary allowance for a nation rebuilding from conflict, but they were always intended to be temporary. The final and most significant of these waivers, granted by the Financial Action Task Force, is set to expire imminently. Without this waiver, Iraq would be effectively cut off from the international digital banking system, the SWIFT network. Its ability to conduct cross-border trade, to receive payments for its oil, to participate in the global economy would be severely crippled, if not completely halted. This is not a speculative threat. This is a binary, procedural reality. The only way for Iraq to maintain its financial connectivity and avoid being relegated to a financial pariah state is to demonstrate that its currency is a stable, transparent, and trustworthy medium of international exchange. The RV is the final, undeniable proof of that stability. The expiration of this waiver is the hard deadline that the gurus have speculated about for years, but it was never a secret. It was a publicly documented process, and its culmination is now here, applying a pressure on the Central Bank of Iraq that is both external and non-negotiable. The third and most compelling timeline is technological. The digital infrastructure required to support a revalued currency on the global stage is immense. It's not just about changing a number on a screen. It's about ensuring that every ATM, every digital banking platform, every foreign exchange kiosk from New York to Tokyo can handle the transition seamlessly and without panic. This back-end switchover has been in a silent, global testing phase for months. Key international banking partners have been running parallel systems, processing simulated transactions at the new, anticipated rate to stress test their software and protocols. In the last 72 hours, we have received verified reports from multiple, independent sources within the international banking community that this testing phase has been officially signed off as complete and successful. The digital highways are built, the toll booths are operational, and the green light has been given from a technical standpoint. When you combine this technological readiness with the political necessity and the international legal deadline, you are left with a window of opportunity that is not just open, but is actively compelling action. The train is not just leaving the station. The station master has already blown the whistle, the conductors have closed the doors, and the track ahead is clear. To hesitate now would be to defy the combined force of political survival, international law, and technological readiness. That is not how nations behave when their future is on the line. This week represents the confluence of these 3 rivers, and they are about to flow into an ocean of change. Therefore, the countdown we are witnessing is not a metaphorical one. It is the final, logical conclusion of a process that has been building for 2 decades, a process that has now exhausted all other alternatives. The path of patience has reached its end. The question that remains for you, the investor who has held steadfast through the uncertainty, is not if, but what happens next. The moment the new rate is announced, a sequence of events will be set in motion that will unfold with breathtaking speed. The first 24 hours will be a period of controlled chaos within the global financial system. Major forex markets will halt trading of the Iraqi dinar almost immediately after the initial surge, as volatility circuit breakers are triggered. This is a normal, expected procedure designed to prevent algorithmic flash crashes and to allow institutional players to recalibrate their systems. During this brief pause, the world's financial media will scramble to explain what has happened, but you, having been part of this community, will already understand. You will have moved from a state of anticipation to a state of action. The second phase, which will begin within the first 48 hours, will be the activation of the redemption and exchange protocols. This is where your preparation meets your opportunity. Major banks and designated exchange centers will have received their official briefings and will begin accepting appointments for the conversion of physical currency and the recalibration of digital holdings. It is absolutely critical that you have your documents in order, your proof of purchase, your identification, and any bank statements that can trace the lineage of your investment. This is not a time for panic, but for calm, methodical execution. The system will be prepared for you, but your composure will dictate the smoothness of your personal transition. The long-term implications of this event extend far beyond individual wealth. What we are about to witness is a fundamental recalibration of global economic power. Iraq is poised to instantly transform from a debt-ridden nation into one of the most credit-worthy and cash-rich sovereign entities on the planet. The influx of capital will not just be for the investors, it will be for the nation itself, funding a Marshall Plan-level reconstruction of its infrastructure, healthcare, and education systems without the need for foreign loans. This will create a powerful new economic engine in the Middle East, one that is independent and capable of shifting geopolitical alliances. The Iraqi dinar will become a petrocurrency in its truest sense, backed by one of the world's largest proven oil reserves and a government finally able to leverage that resource for the benefit of its people. For the global economy, this introduces a new, stable currency that can serve as an alternative reserve asset, diversifying the current dollar-dominated system and creating a more balanced and resilient international financial architecture. This is not just about making money. It is about being a witness to and a participant in a historical pivot point, a moment where a nation reclaims its sovereignty through the strength of its currency, and where those who believed in its potential are rightfully positioned to benefit. You are not just an investor, you are a stakeholder in the rebirth of a civilization. Now, as we stand on this precipice of history, your role shifts from passive waiting to active readiness. This is the most critical part of the entire journey. The information flow in the next 72 to 96 hours will be overwhelming, contradictory, and deliberately confusing from some mainstream outlets that were caught completely off guard. Your single source of truth, your calm in the coming storm, must be this channel. I have guided you through the logic, the evidence, and the timelines with clarity and without the hype. I need you to take one final, crucial step to ensure you do not miss a single second of what comes next. Go down to the description below this video right now and hit the subscribe button. Then, tap that bell icon and turn on all notifications. This is not a request, it is an essential part of your strategy. When the announcement happens, I will be here in real time with a live stream to guide you through the exact steps you need to take, where to go, what to say, and how to navigate the process with confidence and peace of mind. You have waited too long and come too far to miss the final call because of a missed notification. Your future self will thank you for this single, simple action. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you in the live stream the moment history is made. The countdown is over. The time is now.